The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched wide enough to hold 3 battleships. 12 different alien species sat around a massive circular table made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Today, none of them looked calm. High Commander Vexral stood at the center of the room. His gray skin looked even paler than usual. The tall alien's forearms moved quickly as he spoke. Behind him, a huge screen showed images that made everyone worry. "Fellow council members," Vexral began, his voice echoing in the chamber. "We face the worst threat in 10,000 years. 3 star systems have fallen. Billions are dead. The Iron Swarm grows stronger every day." The screen changed to show a cloud of metal ships. They moved like angry bees, but each one was the size of a building. There were millions of them, maybe billions. The number kept growing. Counselor Zarath leaned forward. Her blue crystal body caught the light and threw rainbows across the table. "How many ships do they have now?" she asked. "Our best count shows 40 million combat units," Vexral replied. "But that was yesterday. They build more every hour. Every planet they take gives them more metal to make new ships." Admiral Kethron slammed his fist on the table. The big warrior's red skin turned darker with anger. "My fleet can handle them," he growled. "Give me 6 months to gather all our ships. We will crush these machines." "6 months?" squeaked Counselor Piptal. The small green alien's eyes went wide with fear. "They will reach the inner worlds in 4 weeks. Maybe less." The room filled with worried voices. Some aliens spoke in languages that sounded like music. Others made clicking sounds or low hums. But they all meant the same thing. They were scared. Vexral raised all 4 arms for quiet. "We have studied every option. The hegemony needs 6 months to mobilize their full war fleet. The Zephyrian Empire requires 4 months to build enough quantum weapons. The Aethon Collective needs 3 months to grow new crystal ships." "What about the defense platforms at Kepler Station?" asked Zarath. "Destroyed 2 days ago," Vexral said sadly. "The Iron Swarm learned to copy our shield technology. They use it against us now." "Tominer." The council members looked at each other with growing worry. The Iron Swarm was not just another enemy. It was a plague of metal that grew stronger with each victory. Every ship it destroyed became materials for 10 new ships. Every world it conquered became a factory to build more weapons. "Perhaps we should evacuate the outer colonies," suggested Counselor Thexvar. The elderly alien's tentacles moved slowly as he spoke. "Pull back to the core worlds, make a stand there, and abandon 60 billion people?" Admiral Kethron stood up, his huge frame casting shadows. "Never. The hegemony does not run from machines. Pride will not save them if we cannot fight." Zarath replied. Her crystal body pulsed with worried light. "Better to save some than lose all." The argument went on for hours. Some wanted to fight, others wanted to run. A few suggested asking the ancient powers in the Galactic Center for help, but those beings had not spoken to anyone for 1,000,000 years. Finally, Thexvar raised one tentacle. "What about the primitives in Sector 7? He asked. "The humans?" The room went quiet. Then several aliens started laughing. "The humans?" Vexral looked confused. "They barely discovered faster than light travel 100 years ago. They still use chemical rockets for most of their ships." Admiral Kethron snorted. "I have seen their files. Their biggest warship carries maybe 50 fighters. We build cargo haulers larger than their battleships." Counselor Piptal pulled up human records on his datapad. "They have 1 planet, 1 moon base, a few mining stations. Their weapons are kinetic projectiles and primitive missiles. They would not last 5 minutes against the Iron Swarm." Zarath's crystal body dimmed thoughtfully. "Still, protocol requires we inform all spacefaring species of galactic threats, even the new ones." "Very well," Vexral agreed. "Send them a warning message. Tell them to evacuate if they can. Though I doubt they have ships fast enough to escape the swarm's advance." The council secretary, a small robot, made a note. "Message sent to Earth government. it announced in a flat voice. The aliens went back to their real planning. Maps appeared on the screen showing fleet positions and supply routes. Numbers scrolled past showing ship counts and weapon reserves. Everything looked bad. The Aethon fleet was spread across 50 systems. It would take months to gather them. The hegemony had powerful ships, but they were all in the wrong place. The Zephyrians had good weapons, but not enough ships to carry them. "We need a miracle," Thexvar said quietly. "We need time," Vexrel corrected. "Time to build ships. Time to make weapons. Time to train crews. But time is what we do not have." The secretary robot spoke up again. "Incoming message from Earth government." "Already?" Zareth sounded surprised. "That was fast." The message appeared on the main screen. It was short and written in simple galactic standard language. "Thank you for the warning about the Iron Swarm. We will handle this situation. Please send current location of the threat. No other assistance needed." Earth Defense Command. The room went very quiet. Then, the laughter started again. But this time, it sounded nervous. "Handle it." Admiral Kethron read the message again. "With what? Their little metal ships? Perhaps they do not understand the scale of the threat," Piptal suggested. "Should we send them our tactical data?" Vexral thought for a moment. "Send them everything. Ship counts, weapon types, tactical analysis. Maybe when they see the real numbers, they will understand and evacuate properly." The data package went out immediately. The response came back in minutes. "Data received. Thank you. We are launching now. We'll report when finished." Earth Defense Command. This time, nobody laughed. The aliens sat in confused silence. "Finished?" Zareth whispered. "Do they think this is some kind of simple repair job?" Vex Ral pulled up humanity's military records again. 3 active fleets. Maybe 500 combat ships total. Weapons that would barely scratch the paint on an Iron Swarm unit. "Poor creatures," he said sadly. "They are brave, but they do not understand what they face. According to our calculations, the Iron Swarm will overrun human space in approximately 4 hours once contact begins." The council observed a moment of respectful silence for the humans who were about to die fighting an impossible battle. None of them noticed the small note in Earth's response that mentioned 3 ships launching. Not 3 fleets. Just 3 ships. If they had noticed, they might have asked why any species would send only 3 ships against 40 million enemies. They might have wondered what those 3 ships carried. But they did not notice, and they did not wonder. That was their first mistake. The Iron Swarm moved through space like a metal storm. Millions of dark ships blotted out the stars as they advanced toward the galactic core. Each ship was the size of a city building, covered in weapons and armor that gleamed dully in the light of distant suns. At the front of the swarm flew the largest vessels. These were the factory ships, each one as big as a small moon. Inside their metal bellies, thousands of smaller ships were being built every hour. The sound of construction never stopped. Hammers rang against metal. Welders threw sparks in the darkness. New weapons rolled off assembly lines that stretched for miles. Behind the factory ships came the harvesters. These ugly vessels looked like giant metal spiders with cutting arms. When they reached a planet, they would strip away everything useful. Metal ore, rare elements, even the rocks themselves became raw materials for more ships. What they could not use, they destroyed. The swarm had no leader that anyone could see. No admiral giving orders from a command ship. Instead, the millions of vessels moved with perfect coordination. Like parts of one huge machine, they shared information instantly across quantum networks. When one ship learned something new, all ships knew it within seconds. 3 days ago, they had learned how to copy Galactic Council shield technology. Now, every swarm ship carried energy barriers that could stop the most powerful alien weapons. The irony was bitter. The galaxy's own defenses had been turned against them. In the Galactic Council chambers, the mood grew darker by the hour. Updates arrived constantly from scout ships that tried to track the swarm's movement. The news was always bad. "Kepler Station is gone," reported Admiral Kethron. His red skin had turned almost black with anger. They destroyed our heaviest defense platform in under an hour. 30,000 of my best warriors died there. Counselor Zaroth's crystal body pulsed with sad blue light. The mining colonies at Ross 248 have gone silent. That is 12 billion people lost in 2 days. High Commander Vex Ral stood before the main display screen. It showed the swarm's path marked in red. The red line grew longer every hour, reaching deeper into civilized space. Current projections show they will reach the Centauri trade hub in 18 days, he announced. That hub serves 40 systems. If it falls, supply lines across the entire sector will collapse. The numbers were getting worse. Intelligence reports showed the swarm had grown from 40 million ships to over 60 million. Every planet they consumed made them stronger. Every battle they won gave them new technology to copy. What about the evacuation fleets? Asked Counselor Piptal. The small green alien looked very tired. He had been coordinating refugee movements for 3 days without sleep. Moving too slowly, Zaroth replied. Civilian ships are not built for speed. Most cannot outrun the swarm's advanced scouts. Admiral Kethron slammed his fist down again. Then we make our stand at Vega Prime. Pull back all our fleets there. Force them to come to us. With what ships? Vex Ral asked sadly. The hegemony has 200 vessels in that sector. The Aethon Collective has maybe 50. Against 60 million enemy ships, we would last minutes. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew the math. Even if they gathered every military ship in the galaxy, they would still be outnumbered 1,000 to 1. The Iron Swarm was not just an army. It was a force of nature. Like a hurricane made of metal and death. Perhaps we should try talking to them, suggested Thexvar. The old alien's tentacles moved slowly as he spoke. Find out what they want. Maybe we can negotiate. They want everything, Vex Ral replied. Every ship, every planet, every scrap of metal in the galaxy. Our intelligence shows they are not truly alive. Just programs designed to consume and grow. They cannot be reasoned with. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. The Council Secretary robot announced, Emergency transmission from the outer monitoring stations. The main screen changed to show Admiral Hextar of the Zephyrian fleet. Her purple skin looked pale with worry. Council members, the Iron Swarm has changed course. They are moving faster now. New estimate puts them at Centauri Hub in 12 days. Not 18. How is that possible? Admiral Kethron demanded. They are not stopping to harvest smaller asteroids anymore. Hextar explained. Only major planets and stations. They seem to be rushing toward something. Vex Ral felt cold fear in his stomach. Toward what? What is in their new path? The display changed to show star charts. A new red line traced the swarm's projected route. It passed through several important systems before reaching an area marked in yellow. Sector 7, Piptal whispered. They are heading straight for human space. The council members looked at each other with growing dread. They had sent warning messages to hundreds of species. Most had begun evacuating immediately. Others had asked for help with refugee ships or defense planning. But the humans had said they would handle it with 3 ships. How long until the swarm reaches Earth? Zaroth asked quietly. The tactical computer calculated quickly. At current speed, first contact will occur in approximately 6 days. Total conquest of human space estimated at 4 hours from initial engagement. 4 hours. That was how long humanity would last, against an enemy that had crushed planets and destroyed fleets. Should we send ships to help them? Piptal asked. Help them what? Admiral Kethron replied bitterly. Die slightly slower? We cannot spare any vessels. Every ship we have is needed for the defense of the core worlds. Vex Ral nodded sadly. The humans made their choice. We offered them evacuation assistance. They refused. There is nothing more we can do. But privately, he felt sick about abandoning an entire species. Even if they were primitives who did not understand the danger they faced. What about their 3 ships? Thexvar asked. Have our scouts detected them yet? The secretary robot checked its files. Negative. No large human vessels detected in the approach vector. Their ships may be too small for our sensors to track at long range. The aliens spent several minutes in respectful silence. They were thinking about the brave humans flying toward certain death in ships barely larger than shuttlecraft. It was noble but pointless, like throwing pebbles at a metal avalanche. We should remember them, Zareth said softly. When this is over, if any of us survive, we should build a monument. So the galaxy will know that humans died fighting instead of running. Everyone agreed. It was the least they could do for a species that chose courage over survival. High Commander Vexis Ral returned to the tactical displays. Numbers scrolled past, showing fleet positions and supply estimates. Everything looked hopeless, even if they had years to prepare instead of days. The math did not work. The Iron Swarm was too big, too fast, and too smart. Continue evacuation procedures, he ordered. Pull back all non-essential ships to the core worlds. Prepare for siege warfare. As the council members filed out to coordinate their retreat, none of them thought to check what weapons those 3 human ships might be carrying. None of them wondered why a species would send only 3 ships against impossible odds. None of them asked what technology Earth might have developed during its 100 years of silence. They simply assumed the humans were brave and stupid. That was their second mistake. In 6 days, they would learn the truth about humanity, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The observation deck of Council Station gave a clear view of the galaxy's spiral arms. Normally, the sight filled visitors with wonder at the billions of stars scattered like diamonds across the darkness. Today, High Commander Vex Ral saw only targets for the Iron Swarm to consume. 3 days remained until the swarm reached human space. 3 days until an entire species would be wiped out in a matter of hours. The thought made Vex Ral's 4 stomachs churn with guilt and helplessness. Status report, he said to Admiral Hex Tar as she approached with a data tablet. The evacuation fleets are making progress, she replied. Her purple skin looked exhausted from days without proper rest. We have moved 15 million civilians from the outer colonies. But there are still billions more in the path of the swarm. Vex Ral took the tablet and scrolled through the numbers. Ships loaded with families fleeing their homes. Children who would grow up without ever seeing the worlds where they were born. Entire civilizations becoming refugees in their own galaxy. What about military preparations? He asked. Admiral Kethron has gathered 200 hegemony vessels at Vega Prime, Hextar reported. The Aethon Collective is growing crystal ships as fast as they can. The Zephyrian Empire has started mass production of quantum disruptors. How long until we have enough ships to fight? Hextar checked her calculations. Optimistic estimate? 4 months for adequate force strength. 6 months for actual victory odds. 4 months. 4 to 6 months. The Iron Swarm would control half the galaxy by then. Sir, called Counselor Piptal from across the observation deck. The small green alien was monitoring communication channels. We are receiving transmissions from the human ships. Vex Ral walked over to Piptal's station. 3 small blips showed on the long-range sensors, moving toward the approaching swarm. The human vessels looked like tiny dots compared to the massive red cloud that represented millions of enemy ships. What are they saying? Vex Ral asked. Piptal adjusted his translation device. Most of it is technical chatter between their ships. Engine status, navigation data, weapon system checks. Very routine communications. Weapon systems? Admiral Hextar sounded curious. What kind of weapons are they carrying? The translations are unclear, Piptal admitted. They mentioned something called packages and special delivery items. Their technology uses different terminology than ours. Vex Ral studied the sensor readings from the human ships. 3 vessels, each about the size of a large shuttle. Their energy signatures were weak compared to galactic standard warships. Primitive fusion drives, basic hull materials, simple communication arrays. Estimated combat capability? He asked the tactical computer. Analysis complete, the computer replied in its flat voice. Human vessels appear armed with kinetic projectile weapons and conventional missiles, estimated firepower equivalent to point defense systems on Galactic Council patrol boats. Point defense systems. Weapons meant for shooting down incoming missiles, not fighting major battles. The humans were flying into combat with equipment that would barely qualify as emergency backup weapons on a council ship. Poor brave fools, Admiral Hextar said sadly. They have no idea what they face. Counselor Zareth joined them at the observation station. Her crystal body pulsed with dim light as she processed the tactical data. "Have we calculated engagement timelines?" she asked. Vex Rahl pulled up the projections. "The Iron Swarm will encounter the human ships in approximately 18 hours. Based on the Swarm's combat performance against our forces, human resistance should collapse within 4 hours of first contact." 4 hours seems optimistic, Admiral Hextar said. "Our best battleships lasted less than 20 minutes against the Swarm's advance elements. These human ships will be destroyed in the opening volley." O for mentality. The tactical display showed the Iron Swarm's formation. 63 million ships moving in perfect coordination. Scout vessels ranged ahead of the main force, followed by heavy combat units, with factory ships protected in the center. It was an unstoppable tide of metal and weapons. The 3 human ships looked like minnows swimming toward a tsunami. "Should we try to contact them one more time?" Zareth suggested. "Perhaps convince them to retreat?" "We have sent 12 messages," Piptal replied. "They acknowledge each one but refuse to change course." Their last response was quite strange. Strange how? They thanked us for our concern but said they had work to do and promises to keep. They also mentioned something about not missing dinner. Vex Rahl felt a strange mix of respect and pity for the humans. Even facing certain death, they maintained their sense of duty and normal life. It was admirable, but tragic. "Open a channel to all council observation posts," he ordered. "I want continuous monitoring of the engagement, full sensor coverage, multiple recording angles. If we cannot save the humans, at least we can document their sacrifice." The observation network came online quickly. Sensor stations across 3 sectors turned their instruments toward the approaching battle zone. High-resolution cameras, energy detectors, and quantum analysis equipment focused on the small patch of space where humanity would make its last stand. "All stations report ready," Piptal announced. "We will have complete data on the engagement." Admiral Hextar checked her chronometer. 17 hours, 34 minutes, until first contact. The humans should reach the Swarm's perimeter just after local noon, Galactic Standard Time. Vex Rahl nodded grimly. "Prepare memorial protocols. I want speeches ready from all major council members. The humans deserve to be remembered properly." "Already done, sir," Zareth replied. "I have contacted historians from 12 species. They are preparing documentation of human culture and achievements. Future generations will know that Earth's children died fighting." The next several hours passed slowly. Updates arrived from the observation posts tracking both the human ships and the Iron Swarm. The enemy formation showed no signs of slowing or changing course. They moved forward like a force of nature, consuming everything in their path. The human ships maintained steady acceleration toward the Swarm's center. Their communications remained routine and calm. No panic, no desperate last messages home, just professional chatter between military personnel doing their jobs. 14 hours to contact, Piptal reported. "The humans are maintaining course and speed. Any sign they realize the hopelessness of their situation?" Admiral Hextar asked. "None whatsoever. If anything, their communications suggest confidence. One ship's captain complained about missing his daughter's birthday party if this takes too long." Vex Rahl felt his heart break a little more. The humans thought this would be a quick mission. They had no idea they were flying toward the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. 6 hours to contact, came the next update. "Human ships are performing final systems checks. All weapons show green status. Those weapons, primitive kinetic cannons and chemical explosive missiles, technology that was outdated when the Council's ancestors first reached the stars, against an enemy that had adapted to counter the galaxy's most advanced weapons. 1 hour to contact," Piptal announced. His voice had grown quiet with respect for the approaching tragedy. The Iron Swarm has detected the human ships. They are dispatching forward scouts to investigate. Vex Ral watched the tactical display as small groups of enemy ships moved toward the humans. Each scout group contained more firepower than the entire human fleet. This would be over very quickly. 30 minutes to contact. The humans are... Sir, they are increasing speed. They appear to be accelerating directly toward the swarm's main body, not toward the edges where they might have a chance to inflict some damage before dying. Straight toward the center where the enemy was strongest. It was brave beyond measure, and tactically insane. 10 minutes to contact. All observation posts report ready. Recording equipment is active. Vex Ral stood before the main display screen with the other council members. They watched in respectful silence as 3 tiny dots raced toward certain death. In 10 minutes, an entire species would cease to exist. 5 minutes to contact. The humans have sent a final message. What does it say? Vex Ral asked quietly. Piptal's voice was barely a whisper. Okay, time to clean up this mess. See you folks soon. Human Defense Command, clean up this mess. As if the greatest threat in galactic history was just some minor problem to be solved. As if 3 ships could accomplish what millions could not. 1 minute to contact. Iron Swarm forward elements are within weapons range. This was it. The moment when courage met impossible odds. When a young species made its final statement to the galaxy. 30 seconds to contact. Human ships are moving into attack formation. Vex Ral closed his eyes and said a prayer for the humans who were about to die fighting. They deserved better than this. They deserved a chance to grow and learn and take their place among the stars. Contact in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. The council members held their breath as the countdown reached 0. None of them were prepared for what happened next. The Iron Swarm's forward scouts moved to intercept the 3 human ships like antibodies attacking an infection. 50,000 combat vessels spread across space, their weapons charging with deadly light. Against this overwhelming force, 3 ships the size of shuttlecraft appeared laughably insignificant. In the council observation chamber, every alien held their breath. High Commander Vex Ral gripped the rail in front of him so tightly, his knuckles turned white. This was going to be over very quickly. Contact initiated, Counselor Piptal announced quietly. Human ships are within enemy firing range. The Iron Swarm opened fire first. Thousands of energy beams and missile salvos lit up space like a deadly fireworks display. The combined firepower could have turned a moon into vapor in seconds. Against 3 tiny ships, it should have been instant annihilation. The human vessels vanished into the storm of weapons fire. Direct hits on all 3 ships, reported Admiral Hextar. Her voice carried the sadness of inevitable tragedy. Energy signatures are... Wait. She stopped speaking and stared at her instruments in confusion. What is it? Vex Ral demanded. The human ships are still there, still moving forward. The weapons fire passed right through them. That was impossible. No shield technology in the galaxy could deflect that much concentrated firepower. Vex Ral checked his own sensors. The readings made no sense. Some kind of stealth technology? Suggested Zarath. Her crystal body flickered with puzzled light patterns. No, Hextar replied, adjusting her instruments. They are not hiding. The enemy weapons are just... missing. Like they are shooting at ghosts. The 3 human ships continued their approach toward the Iron Swarm's center. They moved through the enemy formation, like fish swimming through a net. Thousands of hostile vessels surrounded them, but somehow could not lock onto their targets. How are they doing that? Piptal whispered. The answer came from the lead human ship. A transmission burst out across all communication channels in clear galactic standard language. Phase 1 complete. Initiating quantum displacement field. Please stand by. Quantum displacement field? No known technology could create stable quantum effects on that scale. The energy requirements alone would need a star to power them. Then space around the human ships began to bend. By the ancient stars, Admiral Hextar breathed. They are manipulating space-time itself. The 3 ships were not dodging the enemy weapons. They were existing in slightly different dimensional space. The Iron Swarm's attacks passed through empty air while the humans occupied a parallel position just microseconds out of phase with normal reality. Impossible, Vexral stated flatly. That technology is theoretical. No one has ever built a working dimensional shifter. The humans apparently did not read those research papers, Zarath observed dryly. The lead human ship, designated UNAS Decisive, according to their communications, pushed deeper into the Iron Swarm formation. Millions of enemy vessels converged on their position, but none could touch them. They existed in the same space but different time, always a split second ahead or behind their attackers. Phase 2 initiating, came the next human transmission. Deploying Package 1. All units clear the target zone. Package 1? What package could 3 ships carry that would matter against millions of enemies? The answer came 60 seconds later. The UNAS Decisive suddenly stopped moving. For one moment, it sat motionless in the exact center of the Iron Swarm formation. Then its energy signature spiked beyond anything the Council sensors had ever recorded. "What are they doing?" Vexral demanded. "Their power output just increased by 10,000%. The human ship opened like a flower blooming in space. Its hull split apart in precise geometric patterns, revealing something hidden inside. A sphere of perfect darkness floated where the ship's core had been. The darkness was so complete it seemed to drink the light from surrounding stars. "Singularity detection," Admiral Hextar shouted. "They have a contained black hole." A black hole. The humans had weaponized one of the most destructive forces in the universe. They had somehow shrunk a stellar mass black hole down to the size of a building and carried it inside their ship. The artificial singularity activated. Gravitational waves rippled out from the device like invisible tsunamis. The Iron Swarm ships closest to the humans were instantly torn apart as space-time itself twisted around them. Metal hulls stretched into impossible shapes before being sucked into the event horizon. But the black hole did not stop growing. The quantum field generators around the singularity began working in reverse, expanding the gravitational effect while keeping it stable. The event horizon grew from building size to mountain size to moon size in a matter of seconds. Thousands of Iron Swarm vessels were caught in the expanding gravity well. They screamed across all radio frequencies as their hulls were crushed and their crews died. The sound echoed through space like the death cry of a mechanical god. Phase 3 activating, announced the second human ship. Call sign: UNAS Retribution. Deploying Package 2. Quantum cascade charges, armed and ready. The council members watched in stunned silence as the second ship followed the first's example. Its hull opened to reveal not a black hole, but something that looked like a cluster of silver flowers. Each flower was the size of a house and pulsed with strange energy. "What are those?" Zarath asked in a voice barely above a whisper. The answer came from the Iron Swarm itself. The silver flowers reached out with invisible tendrils of force, touching the nearest enemy ships. Where they made contact, something impossible began to happen. The Iron Swarm vessels began to malfunction en masse. "Their own technology is turning against them," Admiral Hextar reported in amazement. "The quantum cascade is corrupting their nano-replication systems." The humans had found the Iron Swarm's weakness. The same technology that allowed the enemy to build ships rapidly also made them vulnerable to quantum interference. The cascade charges were sending corrupted instructions through the swarm's shared network. Ships that had been building new weapons suddenly started tearing themselves apart. Factory vessels began producing defective components that exploded when activated. The swarm's greatest strength, its ability to grow and adapt, had become its downfall. The effect spread like wildfire through the enemy formation. Every ship that shared data with an infected vessel became infected itself. Within minutes, entire sectors of the Iron Swarm were destroying themselves from the inside out. "This is incredible," Piptal whispered. "They are using the enemy's own network against them." But the humans were not finished. "Final phase initiating," came the voice from the third ship. "UNAS Determination. Deploying Package 3. Temporal disruption field online." The third human vessel did not open its hull. Instead, It began to glow with a light that hurt to look at directly. The light was not any color that existed in normal space. It was the color of time itself being twisted into knots. Temporal disruption? Vexral could barely speak. They can manipulate time? The glow expanded outward from the human ship like a bubble of impossible light. Where it touched the iron swarm vessels, they simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, erased, as if they had never been built in the first place. The time field expanded faster than light itself, washing over millions of enemy ships. Each one touched by the temporal wave vanished from reality. The iron swarm's perfect formation began to collapse, as huge gaps appeared where thousands of vessels had been moments before. "How many ships have we lost?" Admiral Hextar asked the tactical computer. Iron swarm strength reduced from 63 million vessels to 41 million, and falling rapidly, came the reply. 22 million ships destroyed in less than 5 minutes. The humans had accomplished in moments what the entire Galactic Council could not do in months of preparation. But they were still not finished. The 3 human weapons worked together in ways that defied every law of physics the Council knew. The black hole consumed enemy ships, while the quantum cascade corrupted their systems. The temporal field erased entire formations from history itself. The iron swarm tried to adapt. They attempted to retreat beyond the weapon's range, but every time they moved, the humans adjusted their effects to reach further. The 3 ships coordinated their attacks with precision that suggested they shared a single mind. 38 million ships remaining, the computer announced. 35 million. 30 million. The numbers dropped like stones. Each minute brought the destruction of millions of vessels that had seemed unstoppable just hours before. The iron swarm's perfect coordination began to break down as their shared network collapsed under quantum interference. 20 million ships remaining. 15 million. 10 million. In the council chamber, no one spoke. They watched the impossible happening before their eyes. 3 ships smaller than their cargo haulers, were systematically destroying the greatest threat in galactic history. 5 million ships remaining. 3 million. 1 million. The final iron swarm vessels tried desperately to escape. They scattered in all directions, abandoning their formation and fleeing toward empty space. But the human weapons reached out across impossible distances to find them. The black hole's gravity stretched across light years. The quantum cascade followed their network connections to ships hidden behind planets. The temporal field erased fleeing vessels from the timeline itself. 500,000 ships remaining. 100,000. 50,000. Admiral Hextar checked her chronometer with trembling hands. 7 minutes. She whispered. This entire battle has lasted 7 minutes and 34 seconds. The last few thousand iron swarm vessels made a final desperate charge toward the human ships. If they could destroy the weapons, they might still survive. They fired everything they had in one massive coordinated attack. The humans simply phased out of normal space-time again. The attack passed harmlessly through empty air, while the 3 weapons continued their methodical destruction. 1,000 ships remaining. 500. 100. The final iron swarm vessels died alone in the darkness, their shared network silent for the first time in their existence. The quantum cascade had corrupted their ability to communicate. The black hole had consumed their supply ships. The temporal field had erased their reinforcements. 0 ships remaining, the computer announced. Iron swarm eliminated. 0 ships remaining. The weapons shut down. The black hole collapsed into nothing. The quantum cascade faded away. The temporal field returned to normal space-time. Where 63 million enemy ships had been, only empty space remained. The 3 human vessels regrouped in formation and began turning toward home. Package delivery complete, came their final transmission. Cleanup successful, returning to base. Thanks for the coordinates. Human Defense Command. In the council chamber, complete silence reigned for a full minute. Then Admiral Hextar spoke the words that would echo through galactic history. What in the name of all that is holy are humans really? The silence in the council chamber stretched on like a held breath. 12 of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations sat stunned as the impossible slowly sank into their minds. The iron swarm, A threat that had consumed 3 star systems and terrorized half the galaxy had been erased from existence in 7.5 minutes by 3 human ships. High Commander Vex Ral stared at the empty space on his tactical display where 63 million enemy vessels had been moments before. His forearms trembled as he checked and rechecked the sensor readings. The numbers did not lie, even though they made no sense. "Status report," he said quietly, his voice barely audible in the huge chamber. Counselor Piptal looked up from his instruments with wide, frightened eyes. "All observation posts confirm complete destruction of the Iron Swarm. 0 surviving vessels detected. The threat has been eliminated." Admiral Hextar sat heavily in her chair. The massive warrior looked like she had been hit by a meteor. "Eliminated by 3 ships," she repeated slowly. 3 ships that we thought were primitive shuttlecraft. "Tan, the weapons they used," Zareth said in wonder. Her crystal body pulsed with confused light patterns. "Contained singularities, quantum cascade devices, temporal displacement fields. Those technologies are centuries beyond anything we possess." Vexral pulled up humanity's files again on his personal display. The same information was there that had been there hours ago. 1 planet, a few mining stations, primitive chemical rockets and kinetic weapons. Nothing had changed in the database. Everything had changed in reality. "The data must be wrong," he said desperately. "Our intelligence about human capabilities must be completely incorrect." "Or," suggested Counselor Thexvar quietly, "the humans allowed us to see only what they wanted us to see." A chill ran through the chamber. The implications were staggering. If humanity had been hiding technology this advanced, what else had they concealed? How long had they possessed these capabilities? And most importantly, why had they remained silent? "Incoming transmission," Piptal announced. From the human ships, every alien in the room tensed. After what they had just witnessed, a message from Earth carried entirely different weight than it had hours before. "Put it through," Vexral ordered. The main screen activated to show the interior of one of the human vessels. A middle-aged human male in a simple blue uniform looked out at them. He had short gray hair and kind eyes that seemed to smile even when his face was serious. "Greetings, Galactic Council," the human said in perfect galactic standard. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Command. I hope we haven't caused too much of a fuss. The Iron Swarm situation has been resolved." "Caused a fuss?" Vexral felt several of his stomachs twist with disbelief. The human spoke as if they had cleaned up a minor spill instead of eliminating the greatest military threat in recorded history. "Captain Rodriguez," Vexral managed to say. We are grateful for your assistance with the Iron Swarm situation." The human captain smiled broadly. "Our pleasure. Sorry it took a bit longer than expected. We had some trouble with the temporal field calibrations. New equipment. You understand. First time we've had to use the full package on this scale." "First time?" They had weapons that could erase millions of ships from existence, and this was the first time they had used them? "Captain," Admiral Hextar interrupted, "if we may ask, how long has Earth possessed such advanced technology?" Rodriguez scratched his head thoughtfully. "Well, the basic research started about 50 years ago, but we only finished the practical applications recently. The singularity containment took forever to get right. We lost 3 research stations before we figured out the safety protocols. 50 years. While the galactic civilizations had been building conventional fleets and updating their databases about primitive humans, Earth had been developing weapons that treated physics like a suggestion. "Why did you not inform the Council of these developments?" Zareth asked. Her crystal form was pulsing with rapid, nervous light. "Honestly?" Rodriguez shrugged. "We didn't think you needed to know. You folks seem to have everything well in hand out here. We figured we'd just keep an eye on things and help out if something serious came up." Keep an eye on things. As if the entire galactic community was a neighborhood that needed a quiet guardian watching from the shadows. "Something serious," Thexvar repeated slowly. "What would you consider serious enough to intervene?" "Oh, the usual," Rodriguez replied casually. Extinction-level threats, galaxy-ending disasters, that sort of thing. The Iron Swarm qualified since they were growing exponentially and showed no signs of stopping. Left alone, they would have consumed everything eventually. The human captain spoke about galactic extinction as if it was a routine maintenance issue. His calm demeanor suggested that humanity regularly dealt with threats beyond the Council's ability to comprehend. Captain, Vexral said carefully, our analysis indicated that human space would be completely overrun within 4 hours of contact with the Iron Swarm. Were you not concerned about the threat to Earth? Rodriguez laughed, a warm sound that somehow made the aliens more nervous instead of less. 4 hours? Sir, with respect, your analysis was based on incomplete data. The Iron Swarm would never have reached Earth. How can you be certain? Because they would have encountered our outer perimeter first. The Sol system has defenses you haven't detected. Plus, we have patrol fleets in deep space that your sensors can't track. The 3 ships you observed were just the Rapid Response Team. Rapid Response Team. The weapons that had casually erased 63 million enemy vessels were carried by a Rapid Response Team, not Earth's main fleet, not their heavy warships, just the equivalent of local security guards. How many ships does Earth actually possess? Admiral Hextar asked, though she clearly dreaded the answer. That's classified. Rodriguez replied with a gentle smile. But let's just say we could handle significantly larger threats if necessary. The council members looked at each other in growing alarm. If 3 ships could eliminate the Iron Swarm, what could significantly larger human fleets accomplish? The math was terrifying to contemplate. Captain Rodriguez, Vexral said slowly, we owe you an enormous debt. Is there anything the Council can do to repay Earth's assistance? Actually, yes, the human replied. We've been monitoring your refugee situation. A lot of good people lost their homes because of this mess. We'd like to help with the resettlement efforts. Help with resettlement? After demonstrating the power to reshape reality itself, the humans wanted to help refugees find new homes? The mundane nature of the request made it somehow more unsettling than if they had demanded tribute or territory. Of course, Vexral agreed quickly. Any assistance would be greatly appreciated. Excellent. We're sending some transport ships your way. They should arrive in a few days. Fair warning, they're bigger than what you're probably used to. We designed them for large-scale operations. Bigger than what they were used to. Given that the Council's largest ships were several kilometers long, the humans apparently built transports the size of moons. We look forward to working with your people, Rodriguez continued. Oh, and we're uploading technical data about the Iron Swarm to your archives. Information about their construction methods, network protocols, that sort of thing. Might be useful if you encounter something similar in the future. Thank you, Piptal managed to squeak. Our pleasure. If you need anything else, just send a message. We monitor all the standard galactic frequencies. Take care now. OF. The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence once again. After several minutes, Thexvar spoke what they were all thinking. We have been living next to gods and calling them primitives. Vexral slowly stood and walked to the observation window. Somewhere out there among the stars, humanity was going about its daily business. Humans were eating dinner, playing with their children, complaining about work, and casually maintaining weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. Motion to immediately reclassify humanity's status in the galactic database, he said formally. Seconded, came responses from around the room. Classification? Asked the secretary robot. Vexral thought for a long moment. How did you classify a species that treated galactic extinction events as minor inconveniences? What category existed for beings who carried black holes in their ships and spoke about it like discussing the weather? Guardian species, he said finally. Technological classification. Unknown. Threat level to galactic stability. None. Threat level to galactic threats. He paused, remembering 63 million ships vanishing into nothing. As the Council began the long process of updating every military doctrine, diplomatic protocol, and strategic assumption they had held for thousands of years. One thought echoed through each alien mind. Humanity had not been trying to join galactic civilization. They had been patiently waiting for everyone else to grow up enough to be worth talking to. The galaxy suddenly felt much safer, and much smaller. In the distance, barely visible against the stars, 3 small ships continued their journey home. Captain Rodriguez was thinking about his daughter's birthday party, and hoping the beer was still cold. Behind them, the greatest military threat in galactic history was nothing but empty space and rapidly expanding gas clouds. It had been a good day's work. Time to go home.